Hi, this is Amber Hines. I'm the CEO at Equalize Digital, and I thought I would make a quick video to show you all what we do and with accessibility testing in bulk and how we use our plugin Accessibility Checker to scan websites for accessibility problems. We are on a new website. Let me actually flip over to the front end. It is a WordPress multi-site. You might notice it has my sites right here, but I'm going to flip over to the front end just to give you a quick little sneak peek of this website. This is a quick peek at what their homepage looks like. It's been built out. I think we're waiting for some possible text, so you might find a little lorem ipsum, but I'm pretty sure that we're 90% there, or 95%. So this is what the website looks like, and I'm going to flip over to the dashboard and I'm going to go over to Accessibility Checker. You can see that right here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click to the Open Issues tab. So there's a couple of different places when you have a paid version of Accessibility Checker that you can see issues. So we can see individual open issues. So this is every issue that might exist on this website. And we can see the post or page that it is on, what the post type is. So we can see this particular is a post type we created for them called RSP, so Resource Sharing Project Resources. We can see if it's an error or a warning. An error is something that we definitely know is a problem that needs to be resolved. And a warning is something that may be a problem or may not be a problem, and it's going to require someone to manually look at it. Then we can see what the issue is. So we can see this particular one says ambiguous anchor text, and then we can see the code. And here we can see the word here. There's a couple of options. So I could go view, or I can edit, or I can ignore. View would actually, if I click this, I'm going to click open in a new tab because I like lots of tabs and not losing my place in things. So I'm going to click open in a new tab. This takes me to the front end of this particular resource, and I can see the resource, and I can see this is that link here, right here. Also, there's something that says 6. I'm not totally sure what that's about. That's a little bit weird, but I can see this is the link here. Now, if I close this and I go back to my open issues, I can see an edit link. This would take me over to the edit screen for this particular resource, which is Building Cultures of Care, a guide for sexual assault services programs. And I can also click ignore. And if I click ignore, it opens a box where I could put a comment in to say why I am closing this out and why this is not actually a problem. And then it would stop it from showing my reports. So we'll go through some of these in just a minute, but I want to walk you through the different places where you can see problems. So this is where we can see all of the problems that exist on the website. And currently there are 905 905 issues in total that can be found on the website. As you can see, this is like an individual thing. So this one link going to this one PDF document is here. And but there's 905 other items. The other place that we can look at issues, and this is where we like to start, is under the fast track. So if I click on the fast track tab, why I like this is it actually groups the code snippet that is causing the problem or has flagged an issue in Accessibility Checker. So we can know if there's something that we could fix one time and it will resolve a lot of problems. So this one is a really great example. Right here, we can see that we have an image. So the HTML tag for an image, I can see the source of this image. So if I wanted to, right now, I'm going to open this in a new tab. We're working on building features so you can quickly like open them, or we can display them for you right here. That's coming in the future. But right now, the way I'm just doing is I quickly open this in a new tab. So this right here is flagging for me something that I would need to fix. But what we can actually see is that this particular image, it's on 320 pages and it's failed one issue. I can then click review issues and I can see it's an image with empty alternative text. And if I don't know what that means or why it's a problem, what's really helpful is you can click this I and it will open up for you our documentation. So image, empty, alternative text. There's a whole table of contents here if you want to jump to a section. But you can see, for example, it says, what is alternative text? How is it added to images in WordPress? So there's some examples of here's how you would add it. in the block editor. Obviously, depending on how you edit your sites, it's going to be a little different. But so it says that why do we check for missing alternative text? What's the impact on accessibility? Why is alternative text important? All of those sorts of things. So that information is available to you here. If you're not sure what one of these rules or checks means, you can click there to learn more about it. Otherwise, we could click view pages and we could see all pages that it's on. So if I do this, it's going to expand a big list and I can see, okay, here's where it is on the Strong Foundation for Healing Shelter and Sexual Violence. I can either edit or view that page. Or I have the option of putting in a global ignore. So if I assess this image and I determine, hey, this image is not actually a problem, then like perhaps this image and how it's being used on the page, it is 100% purely decorative. And so I would actually enter a global ignore, which would ignore it for all pages on the website. I'm going to scroll down real quick to the bottom of this pages section and I'm going to close it. So now I've got all text on this resource sharing project. Now you'll notice that this is fixed, but if I go back to my fast track and my open issues tab, even if I refresh, it's still going to say 320 pages affected. Why is that? It's because when you just edit something in the footer or the header or sidebar, like any sort of widgets or other areas that is not in the page content, it doesn't automatically trigger a full site scan. We're not trying to overload your server. So there's a couple of options. Let me go over to full site scan, opening in a new tab, because you know me, I love new tabs. And what we can do is we can have this set up to every week run it. So we could say, okay, we're going to run it once a week and then it will catch all of our changes. We could say, hey, let's just do one right now. I wouldn't normally, if I'm working through this in my process, I don't run a new scan every time I change one thing, because it's, you know, like what we do in our process is we go through, we make a lot of fixes and then we're like, hey, scan the whole thing. But for our purposes right now, I'm going to just do this because it's only 320 pages. It shouldn't take too long to run. And I think it's helpful for you to see how that would go away. So I'm just going to click new accessibility check. And it's going to give me a summary of everything it's going to test. These items, by the way, I didn't show this in the beginning, which I probably should have done. I didn't go to the setups. But if on the general tab, you can choose what you want to check. So on this website, we are checking the post page RSP_resource, which is the resources post type that we created for them. And then the tribe_events, which is a post type that comes from the event calendar by Modern Tribe, which you can see is added over here. We're not checking the venue or the organizer because we're not using those. We actually have those set with redirects. So nobody would even be able to access them. So we don't need to bother scanning them because they're not available. So this is where we would set up the post types we need to have them be checked. And then we would go to a scan. And we would then see, okay, this is everything that it's going to check. And we can click run accessibility check. And it's going to queue it up and it's going to run through them. It only does a few at a time because it doesn't want to overload your server. You do not have to stay on this page. So as it checks things, you can leave the page. There's no reason to stay here. It does log for you what it's doing, and it's starting a check and then it's completing a check, started completing. If a particular check runs into a problem, which sometimes happens if there's strange, like weird HTML code or other issues, it could potentially cause an error and it would tell that for you in the log, which is really useful for debugging. If you're like, I have a page that says it has no problems, but I know that it has some, or, you know, it's not saying this particular thing. So that's helpful. I'm going to let this run and I'm going to leave the page and we're going to continue going. But one of the things you will notice is you see we've already checked 24 pages. So if I go back to my open issues, I'm going to expect this. If I hit refresh now, as it checks, it's going to reduce this number. So we're going to go from 320. I'm going to hit refresh on this page. And now you can see 290. So once the scan is finished, this whole problem will completely go away. So I will move on to the next item on my list in Fast Track. So this one is, oh, hey, look, it's another image. I've got another image tag. It's on 9 pages, click review issues. This is another one with an empty alternative text. And this is, it happens to be, do you see this? It's an SVG, Page Hero SVG. Let me click on this real quick. And I'm going to just open it. I know what it is, but I'm going to open it so you all can see what it is. So it's this right here. And if I were to view the pages, I could see, oh, it's on the About page, the Contact page. So let's just look at it on the About page. I'm going to click View. Oh, I didn't open it in a new tab. But you can see it's this image right here. on the About the Resource Sharing Project page. So now I need to ask myself again, is it correct that this image does not have alternative text, or should it have alternative text? So this image, as we saw, I'm going to go back to that in just a minute, but it's on 9 pages. Basically for this website, it's on every page at the top. It is 100% decorative. It doesn't really convey any extra meaning. You don't need to know about this image or know what it is a graphic of, because it's just like random shapes in an interesting designer pattern, and they're not honestly actually created. Like, we didn't design them to have any meaning. And it's the same on every page, and you don't need to know about this image in order to get the key information about this page, right? So it is correct that this image does not have alternative text. We don't want to slow people down on screen readers and make them listen to it. Like, we don't want to have a description that's like, graphic design of yellow, green, blue, and black shapes in a stair-stepping pattern or something. That doesn't make sense. It's not necessary. So let me just go back real quick. We're going to see, look, so we've got 9 pages, and I could go to every individual page and I could click ignore on that and say this is correct. But I don't want to have to do that. And let's say they use this image again in the future on a new page. I don't want it to show up as a problem for them. So in this particular instance, I'm going to click global ignore because it is actually correct. This image does not have alternative text. That is the right way to go. And I'm going to do that. So now it's gone. It's not a problem. Look, our scan is working its way through. We only have 174 pages now, seeing this as a problem. And so I'm going to continue working through this list. So I'm going to work through a few things. I won't necessarily do them all, but I want to show you how we start assessing websites. So I'll keep going through a few. So the next one is, we've got a div. It has a class of WP spacer block. I'm going to click review issues. This is saying ARIA hidden. Oh, yep, there it is. ARIA hidden equals true. And basically what this saying is, don't tell screen readers that this container is here. Well, this is a spacer block that adds 25 pixels of space. It's being used on 3 pages. Yes, it is correct. No one on screen reader needs to know there's a block here that's just adding space between elements. So again, global ignore. This is not really a problem. So I'm going to go over to our pages real quick. So I'm on the pages. So on the pages screen, I can now see what problems may exist on this website. So I've got the 4-state territory administrators page, and I can see our accessibility checker columns. So I've got the number of past accessibility tests is 90% on this page. There are no errors. There is 1 color contrast error that it thinks is present, and there are 7 warnings. So for pages that we're remediating, I'm going to go in and I'm going to go through these, and my goal is to get it to say 100% pass test and 0 for all of these things. I might have some ignored items, or I may have resolved problems. So I'm going to click edit on the 4-state and territory administrators page. And it's a Gutenberg page with the block editor. So I'm going to scroll down beyond it. And we can see this is our report. So we have 0 errors, 1 contrast error, 4 warnings, 3 ignored items. And 90%, it has an 11th grade reading level. We have not put in a simplified summary for this. So I'm going to go over to details. So the first one is insufficient color contrast. I'm going to expand that, and I'm going to see this may be the same problem. Take the course yellow color with white. Let me go up here. Take the course. Yep, this is a false positive. So I'm going to also ignore this and click ignore. When you're on a page, you can actually enter specific comments about it. So I'm going to actually put a note. False. Get rid of my typo maybe. All right. So I'm going to click ignore. So now it's ignored. That one's done. Image empty alternative text. And we've got a, let's see, this one has already been ignored. That's our global ignore. So I don't have to worry about that. The loader GIF, I determined that was a problem. That's something that needs to stay open. Again, I'm not ignoring it because it is actually a problem. It's going to be fixed. And then let's see, we've got this. Healing services computer screen.png. So I'm going to go up and I'm going to look at this. Oh, this is right here. So I need to ask myself, does this actually need alternative text, or is it decorative? In this instance, we've put this here really to add visual interest. I don't think it's important for them to know that, oh, if you take this online course, the homepage is going to have a big banner on it with the title and some pictures of women. Like, I don't think that that is important. for someone if deciding whether or not they want to take this online course. So really, this is a purely decorative image. So rather than adding alternative text to it, I am going to ignore it. So I'm going to click ignore, and I'm going to say image is decorative. Ignore. It logs it. Okay, we've done everything. Then we're going to go to ARIA hidden. So we have two things that have been ignored. So this first one, that's our big SVG. We can see it's already ignored. We can skip that. And then we've got a W spacer block that is 25 pixels. Now this showed up on multiple pages, so we saw it and we already have a global ignored. This spacer block is only 20 pixels. They're not combined because technically their HTML code is different. So again, I'm just gonna ignore that. Spacer block. You know, you can type that, or you could just say, hey, I don't really need to put a comment on this. I'm just gonna ignore it. Okay, so that's everything under ARIA hidden. So I'm gonna go back up. Oop, too fast. I'm going to close it. And then I'm going to see my link to PDF. So again, SASP, frequently asked questions. This is warning me about the PDF. I will show you real quick because it's useful. So if I click the I and I get the documentation on our site, we have a ton of information about, so I'm going to click down to how to resolve a link to PDF warning. So basically it's telling you how to find it, but these are our guidelines on PDFs. First of all, is a PDF really necessary? It is way better to use HTML or like a page on your website is a better way of putting that than a PDF. And then we have some guidance on different software programs that you can use in order to test PDFs for accessibility. We have the basic principles of PDF accessibility, which is that they should be scannable, searchable, legible, and readable for everyone, including people that are on assistive technology. And then we have some checklists for PDF accessibility. So pre-checks, document properties, structure tags, objects. So this is kind of a long list and things like that. So, and then another thing is warning users when linking to the PDF. So all of this is here in our documentation. I don't, because there is a PDF, I don't do anything to close this out. I'm not going to ignore it because I have not tested this for accessibility. So this is still a warning that needs to stay present on the site. But one thing that I could do to improve it, let me see what this is called, SASP, frequently asked questions. Let's go over to where that is. I don't know where that is, so I'm going to do a command F. SASP frequently. Let's get the other version of that. Here it is. So this is a link to a PDF, and I'm going to quick edit this link because we like to warn people that things are PDFs. So I will do that to improve it. So now it's clear that this is a PDF. So that's what I need to do there. And then I need to see if I can move my picture again so I can hit my update button. So I'm going to hit update on this post. When you update a post or a page, it will rescan. And you can see now that all that's left on this are the one image, empty alternative text, one link to PDF. So we have 0 errors, 0 context errors, 2 warnings, and 6 ignored items. So we're now at 95% instead of 90%. But for my purposes right now, this is the closest I can get this page. So anyway, basically that's how we would approach it. We go through fast track first because we want to get things that can be across the whole site and get it resolved. And then we go page by page where we look at the problems that have been flagged. We either fix them in the content, we assign a to-do to a developer. Now, if you're a developer, you might be able to just go ahead and make the fix right away yourself right then and push up a code change. So either fix it in the content, assign it to-do to a developer, or if you're a developer, make a code change. Or we enter and ignore if it's something that we have manually tested and have confirmed is either a false positive or is actually accessible. And ideally, we're putting notes on them to provide information. And then the final option is we leave it open because it is a problem that our client actually has to assess and it's not part of our scope. But hopefully this is helpful at figuring out a way that you could include accessibility checker into your processes to help you go faster, move faster through a site, and also leave some things for clients that so that you don't have to create a long list for them. They can just see, oh, I need to go through every warning or every error that's been left open. If you have any questions about using Accessibility Checker, please feel free to reach out to me. Our website is equalizedigital.com. I would be happy to answer any questions. Thanks so much.